I was tired of the bloating, the gas, and that heavy, sluggish feeling in my stomach, like my gut just wasn't doing its job anymore. Sound familiar? At 60, things that never used to bother me suddenly started piling up. But then I stumbled on a cheap, humble drink, and within 3 days my gut felt lighter, calmer, clearer. It wasn't a miracle, it was a shift. And today, I want to share what actually worked, and what to avoid. If your digestion isn't what it used to be, hit subscribe and tap like. Leave a comment if you've tried any of these drinks, or if your gut's been giving you trouble lately. Let's feel better together, one sip at a time. Simple, soothing, and powerful. Warm lemon water in the morning is one of the easiest ways to support digestion and overall wellness, especially after 60. Just a cup of warm water with freshly squeezed lemon can do more for the body than most people realize. It helps wake up the digestive system, hydrates after a night of rest, and encourages the liver to flush out waste more efficiently. For seniors whose digestion often slows with age, this gentle habit can make a real difference. Drinking warm lemon water. First thing in the morning stimulates the production of stomach acid and bile, which are essential for breaking down food properly. As people age, stomach acid levels often decrease, making digestion slower and less effective. By naturally encouraging the stomach to get moving, lemon water helps prepare the gut for the day ahead. Many digestive health experts recommend it for those who experience gas, bloating, or heaviness after meals. Hydration is another major benefit. After hours of sleep, the body wakes up dehydrated, even if it doesn't feel that way. Dehydration can lead to fatigue, headaches, and sluggish digestion. Warm lemon water provides a gentle rehydration that's easier on the stomach than cold water, and more effective than coffee, which can be dehydrating. For seniors, maintaining hydration is essential for energy, circulation, and even cognitive clarity. The liver also benefits from this small ritual. The lemon's natural acids and vitamin C support liver enzymes and help the body eliminate toxins more efficiently. It's not a detox fad. It's gentle daily support for one of the body's most important organs. A well-functioning liver helps regulate cholesterol, process medications, and keep the blood clean, all critical functions as the body ages. Perhaps one of the most noticeable effects for older adults is its impact on bowel regularity. Warm water itself can help soften stools, and lemon adds a mild, natural stimulation to the bowels. This makes it especially helpful for people who experience occasional constipation or feel that their digestion has become more sluggish with age. Unlike harsh laxatives or fiber supplements, warm lemon water is soft on the stomach and can be used daily without side effects. It's also incredibly easy to prepare. Just squeeze half a lemon into a cup of warm, not hot water and sip slowly. It doesn't require expensive ingredients, supplements, or complicated timing. And while it's not a cure-all, many nutritionists and wellness experts agree that this one habit can support a healthier gut, better hydration, and a smoother start to the day. Over time, small, consistent actions like this build resilience in the body. For anyone looking to gently support digestion, reduce bloating, and feel lighter in the morning, warm lemon water might be one of the simplest steps to take. You think you're doing the right thing by choosing diet sodas or sugar-free drinks. No calories, no sugar, no problem, right? But what many don't realize is that these zero-calorie beverages often come with hidden costs, especially for the gut. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin may seem harmless, but research is increasingly showing that they can disrupt digestion, damage gut health, and create long-term issues, particularly after age 50, when the microbiome becomes more fragile. The gut is home to trillions of bacteria that help digest food, regulate the immune system, and even influence mood and brain function. This complex system, known as the microbiome, becomes more sensitive with age. And studies have found that artificial sweeteners can disturb this delicate balance by altering the types and amounts of bacteria in the gut. When the microbiome is disrupted, it can lead to increased bloating, irregular bowel movements, and a weakened digestive response overall. Some researchers have also found that regular consumption of artificial sweeteners is linked to glucose intolerance and insulin resistance, two serious concerns for anyone over 50. While these sweeteners don't contain sugar themselves, they appear to interfere with the way the body processes real sugars later. That means your blood sugar may still spike unpredictably, despite avoiding regular sugar, especially if your gut health is already compromised. Another concern is gas and bloating. Many people report feeling swollen or uncomfortable after drinking diet sodas, and this isn't just in their heads. Sweeteners like sucralose and aspartame are not fully absorbed by the body, which means they travel to the colon where gut bacteria ferment them. This fermentation process produces excess gas and can irritate the digestive tract, leading to discomfort, especially in older adults whose digestion has naturally slowed. Beyond the gut, there's also the issue of cravings. Artificial sweeteners are intensely sweet, often hundreds of times sweeter than regular sugar, which can train the brain and taste buds to expect hypersweet flavors. Over time, this can reduce satisfaction with natural foods like fruit and vegetables, making it harder to maintain a balanced, whole food diet that truly supports digestion and aging. While occasional use may not cause immediate harm, daily consumption of diet sodas or sugar-free products with artificial sweeteners can create a long-term pattern that undermines gut health. And for those already dealing with gas, bloating, or irregular digestion, these drinks may be making the problem worse, not better. Instead, consider more natural options like water with lemon, unsweetened herbal teas, or even diluted fruit. Juice in moderation. Supporting the gut means feeding it with things that help it work, not things that confuse or stress it. As the body gets older, choosing gentler, more supportive beverages can make a real difference in how you feel. Every single day. Warm, spicy, and healing. Homemade ginger tea is one of the simplest and most effective ways to support digestive health, especially for older adults. For centuries, ginger has been used in traditional medicine to soothe the stomach, ease nausea, and reduce inflammation throughout the body. Today, modern research confirms what ancient cultures already knew. Ginger is a digestive powerhouse. And when it's prepared as a warm tea, it becomes even more soothing and accessible, particularly for seniors dealing with common gut troubles. Ginger contains natural compounds like gingerol and shogal, which help relax the muscles of the digestive tract. This makes it especially useful for calming indigestion, reducing bloating, and relieving gut spasms that can come with age. As the digestive system slows down over the years, discomfort after meals becomes more common. Ginger tea gently stimulates movement in the stomach and intestines, helping food pass through more efficiently without harsh stimulants or medications. For those who experience nausea, whether from medications, motion, or general digestive upset, ginger tea offers a time-tested remedy. Studies have shown that ginger can be as effective as over-the-counter anti-nausea drugs, without the side effects. It's also a safe choice for those with sensitive stomachs, since it's warming and calming rather than irritating. Many doctors recommend ginger as a first line of defense against mild nausea in older adults. But the benefits go even further. Ginger also improves circulation, including in the digestive tract. Better blood flow means better nutrient delivery, and better absorption from the food you eat. After age 60, the body's ability to absorb key vitamins and minerals begins to decline, so anything that supports this process naturally can have a lasting impact. By enhancing circulation and gently stimulating digestive enzymes, ginger tea, helps the body get more value from every meal. Making ginger tea at home is simple. Peel and slice a small piece of fresh ginger root, about the size of a thumb, and simmer it in water for 10 to 15 minutes. Strain and sip warm. You can add a squeeze of lemon or a bit of honey if needed, but the ginger alone does most of the work. Unlike powdered mixes or bottled teas, fresh ginger delivers the most active compounds and the strongest soothing effect. Because it's caffeine-free and naturally calming, ginger tea can be enjoyed any time, after meals, before bed, or whenever the stomach feels unsettled, and it's gentle enough for daily use. For seniors looking to support digestion, reduce inflammation, and improve how the body handles food, this humble drink offers a powerful, natural solution, one warm, healing cup at a time. Yes, aloe. The same plant known for soothing sunburns also offers powerful support for digestion when taken internally as a juice. Just a few ounces of pure, unsweetened aloe vera juice each day can calm internal inflammation, coat the stomach lining, and ease symptoms like acid reflux, bloating, and indigestion. For many people over 60, it's a simple, gentle way to support a digestive system that's become more sensitive with age. Aloe vera juice works in part because it has natural anti-inflammatory properties. Inside the gut, it helps reduce irritation and soothes inflamed tissues, especially in the stomach and esophagus. That's one reason why it's often recommended for those who struggle with acid reflux. When the stomach produces too much acid, or when acid backs up into the throat, aloe's cooling, protective coating can help relieve the burning sensation and promote healing over time. Another benefit of aloe vera juice is its ability to support the mucosal lining of the digestive tract. As we age, the protective layers inside the stomach and intestines can thin, making us more prone to irritation from acidic or spicy foods. Aloe creates a gentle, natural barrier that helps shield the stomach lining and allows for more comfortable digestion, even when eating foods that might otherwise cause discomfort. In addition to soothing acid reflux and inflammation, aloe also supports regular bowel movements. It contains natural compounds called polysaccharides that help stimulate the gut in a mild way, improving motility without harsh laxatives. For seniors dealing with constipation or irregularity, aloe can help things move more smoothly, without cramping or urgency. Many seniors who use aloe vera juice report feeling noticeably better within just a few days. Relief from bloating, heartburn, and that heavy, unsettled feeling in the stomach is common, as is a greater sense of calm in the gut overall. It's not a quick fix or a stimulant. Instead, it works slowly and deeply, supporting the body's natural healing processes over time. It's important to choose the right type of aloe. Always use pure, unsweetened aloe vera juice that's labeled as inner leaf or decolorized. This ensures the product is free from aloin, a natural compound in the outer leaf that can cause cramping or diarrhea in high amounts. Start with a small dose, 2 to 4 ounces once or twice a day, and monitor how your body responds. For aging digestion, where things often feel more reactive or slow, aloe vera juice offers a natural, low-risk option. It hydrates, heals, and helps restore. Comfort, one small glass at a time.